Study of Pteridophytes. Haeckel in 1866 formed the term pteridophyte. Pteron means feather and phyton means plant. That means plant with a feather-like leaves. The pteridophytes are cryptogams. They have a vascular system. Therefore, they are also called as a vascular cryptogams. As per fossil record, they were during Paleozoic era and Devonian period, forming a dominant vegetation on the earth flora. That is about 416 to 358 million years ago. Hence, they are primitive fossil and living vascular plants. They are intermediate between bryophytes and spermatophyta. They are having similarities with these both groups. This plant group, represented by 400 living and fossil genera, which includes 10,500 species. These are the some of the pteridophytes that we will go into studying individually. This is a Xylotum, Selaginella and Marsilea. The general characteristic features of pteridophytes. The pteridophytes are mostly terrestrial, growing on land. They prefer shady habitat. Some of them are xerophytic, for example Selaginella and Adiantum. Fern like Acrostichum aureum is a halophyte and Pleopeltis is a epiphyte. Marsilea is a terrestrial, amphibians as well as aquatic. Few of the pteridophytes are also aquatic, for example Salvinia. The pteridophytes are primitive vascular plant. The main body we see, that is a sporophyte. Most of them are herbaceous. Rarely one or two are showing tree habit. Their body is differentiated into true roots, leaves and stem. The plant may dorsiventral or radially symmetrical. The branching pattern is monopodial or dichotomous. The stem is horizontal, rhizomatous, aerial. There are two main categories of pteridophytes, megaphyllous and microphyllous. Megaphyllous means with a large leaves and microphyllous means with a small leaves. In some of the pteridophytes, the ligule is present on the adaxial or inner surface of leaf. In the pteridophytes, vascular tissue are present. Xylem shows presence of trachea. Vessels are absent. Whereas phloem shows the lack of companion cell. The arrangement of xylem may be exarch, that may be diarch. In equisetum leaves, they are tetrarch. In stem of some pteridophytes, the protostele is present, and in some siphonostele is present. Pith may or may not be present. Leaves receives vascular supply from the main stem through leaf traces. The mesophyll tissue in the leaf differentiated as a palisade and spongy. The palisade are chlorenchymatous. The stomata is present on the lower surface of leaf. Some pteridophyte shows two different types of spores, that is micro and megaspore, and such pteridophytes are heterosporous, and that phenomenon is called as a heterospory. Some of the pteridophytes are homosporous. They shows only one kind of spores. There is no seed formation takes place in the living pteridophytes. Water is essential for their fertilization. Plant reproduce by spores formed sporangia. The sporangia develops on the ventral or axis of leaves. In ferns, sporangia are born in sori and developed on the sporophylls. The sporangium development may be of two types: eusporangiate, in which sporangium develops from a group of initial, and leptosporangiate means the sporangium develops from a single initial. Spores develop a multicellular gametophytic plant body, and that plant body is called as a prothallus, that is a thalloid structure. This prothallus is independent and bears male and female reproductive organs, Antheridia and Archegonia. After fertilization, the embryo is developed, and that embryo germinates and develops a sporophyte. The sporophyte remain attached to gametophyte till the development of root. The alternation generation in pteridophytes is clear, and sporophyte and gametophyte are also independent from each other. Now we will see the distinguishing features of the group. As I said, sporophyte is well developed. The plant we see, that is a sporophyte. Independent means photosynthetic. It has stem, root and leaves. The primary embryonic root are very short-lived, but later on the adventitious branched roots are developed from the rhizome. Stem radially or dorsiventrally symmetrical. It may has dichotomous or lateral branches. In stem, protostele, siphonostele, dictyostele or polystelic stele is present. In most of the pteridophytes xylem, vessels are absent and secondary growth is also absent. Leaves are two types, microphyllous and megaphylous. Microphyllous are small, megaphylous are large, petiolate with enlarged lamina and differentiated. They shows differentiation of mesophyll into palisade and spongy. In pteridophyte, reproduction takes place by spore. Some are homosporous and some are heterosporous. I have already said you. The sporophyte gives haploid spore at maturity, and these haploid spores, after libration or after dehiscence, they germinate and produce a haploid gametophyte called prothalli or prothallus. In homosporous form, both the sex organs, Antheridia and Archegonia, develops on the same form or prothallus, and in heterosporous form, the male and female prothalli are separate. Sexual reproduction is oogamous type. Fertilization takes place in presence of water. The product of fertilization is a zygote that get converted into the embryo, which is diploid, and which further develops a diploid sporophyte that we see in nature as a growing plant. Now we'll see the economic importance. The pteridophytes, because of their beautiful look, ornamentally they are having a great importance for interior decoration, for planting in the garden, in the houses, in the pots. The most of the herbaceous pteridophytes are used at a large quantity. Medicinally also they are important. The spores of Lycopodium used as a protective dust powder for skin. Also the pills are prepared. Equisetum debile is a cooling medicine, whereas Equisetum arvens is a diuretic in nature. Many herbaceous pteridophytes are used as a fodder for cattle. For example, Pteridium selaginella and Marcellia are mostly used for the fodder for the cattle. Young shoot of Pteridium are sometimes used as a vegetable. The Pteridophyte Asmunda yields fiber, and that fibers used for cultivation of epiphytic orchids in the nursery. Means they are used as a base in the growing of orchid plant. Now the last point we will see about the pteridophyte, that is a classification. Different workers made the classification of pteridophytes, but we have to see the classification according to K.R. Squarn, 1975. According to K.R. Squarn, the plant group pteridophyte classified into the 6 classes as follows: Psilopsida, Psilotopsida, Spinopsida, Lycopsida, Pteropsida, and Progynospermopsida. From these 6 classes, the Psilopsida and Progynospermopsida do not show any living pteridophyte at present. All the plants belongs to these 2 classes are fossilized or extinct. Only the remaining 4 classes shows the living genera at present. At present, this group is a small group and it is shrink. This is what about the introduction of pteridophyte. In this introduction, we studied the what is meant by pteridophyte. Pteridophyte is a group of cryptogams. They are called as a vascular cryptogams because of the presence of vascular tissue in them. They also shows the root stem and leaves-like structure, and that's why they come under the higher cryptogams also. Then we saw the different characteristic features of pteridophytes as a general and as a group characteristic feature. We also saw the economic importance of pteridophyte, and lastly we saw the classification of pteridophyte according to K.R. Squarn. K.R. Squarn recently classified the pteridophytes into the 6 classes. This is what about the general informations of the plant group pteridophyte from the cryptogams.